welcome back to my channel. My name is Raven, and in today's video I will be showing you how to make this tulip stitch pouch. So I have one that I made into an actual pouch. I put a button on it to keep it closed, and I posted that on my shorts and it got a lot of attention. And I also have this one that I made into a book sleeve cover. So for this video I'll be showing you how to make the cover, and then I'll tell you how to make the little pouch if you wanted to. So all you'll need are 3 colors. You'll need the color for your base, the color for your leaves, so green, and then any color for your flowers. I'm going to be using this purple for the tutorial so you can see it's a different color. And yeah, let's get started. So the first thing we're going to have to do is make this bottom base part of the pouch. So for this particular stitch, since we're going to be skipping, we have to work in multiples of 3. So if you want to get the size that I have, I crocheted 33 chains for my base stitch, and that fits a book pretty well, and it also makes a good size for like a makeup pouch. So you would need to chain 33. Oh, I got the wrong hook. Hold on. Okay, chain, so you make a slip knot and then chain 33. So I'll get back to you after I chain 33. So here I have chained my 33 stitches, and now we're going to start making this part. So we need to make a double crochet into the 3rd chain from the hook. So we're skipping 2, and then into this 3rd chain we're going to make a double crochet. So yarn over, insert your hook, pull through 2, and pull through 2. And so we're just going to keep making a double crochet into each of these stitches, and we're going to add extra at the end. So make a double crochet into every single stitch, and then I'll come back and show you how to do the last stitch. Okay, so I've done all of my double crochets, and I left 1 stitch left to show you how you would do the last stitch. So for this last stitch, we're going to make 1 double crochet, just as we did with the other ones, but now we have to increase to get it to curve like this. So in order to do an increase, it's super simple. All you need to do is just make 2 more double crochets into that same stitch that we just crocheted into. So 1 double crochet and another double crochet. And now you can kind of see that our work is curving, and that's how we're going to get the rounded edge for the pouch. And I realized that my video wasn't recording earlier, but I added this stitch marker to the first chain that we made. I just stuck it at the top just so we know where our round ends. And now we're going to be making a double crochet into the back of these stitches, or the bottom, I guess. So we're going to skip this one because that's the one that we just crocheted into, and we're going to go into the next stitch and make a double crochet, and we're just going to keep doing that. And the backs are a little bit harder to figure out where your stitches go sometimes because they don't have the little V's to guide you. But just look for these V's and then just crochet 1 on top of it. And then that's how you know you'll get your right number of stitches. So we just keep making double crochets into the back. And as you can see, it's already kind of forming that bottom lip. And so we're going to keep doing that, and I'll meet you guys back when we get to the stitch marker. So now we're at the last few stitches. I'm going to show you how to finish this round. So we have to double crochet into this one, and then double crochet into this. And this is how your work should look. So now we're going to remove our stitch marker, and we're going to slip stitch into the space where our stitch marker was. And now we're going to start on this row. So the row right underneath our first row of leaves, it's going to just be chain 2 on this stitch, and then make a double crochet into the next stitch. And let's make sure we put in our stitch marker so that we don't lose our spot. And from now on, we're just going to be making a double crochet into every single stitch up until the stitch marker. And once we come back to the stitch marker, we'll be changing colors to green and starting on the leaves. So just double crochet 1 into each stitch. Okay, so now we're at the end of our row. and we're going to need to do a slip stitch to connect. So we're going to skip these 3 stitches, actually, the slip stitch and the chain 2, and we're going to do a slip stitch into the stitch with the chain marker, or a stitch marker, sorry. So we're going to insert our hook into that top, but we're not going to use the white yarn, we're going to be using our green yarn. And so now we're going to grab our green yarn, and we're going to start working on this row now, so the green row. So we're going to leave a little bit of a tail and just cut our base color. We're going to grab our green, and we're going to pull it through to make that our slip stitch. And just pull both of them tight. What I like to do to make sure it's secure is I grab both of the tails and I flip them on top of the working yarn, and then I do my chain 1. So it kind of secures it back there so it doesn't unravel as easily. And then we could go back and tie that into a knot later. So now, since we have our slip stitch and then I chained 1, we're going to chain 3 more. 1, 2, 3. So in total, for your green row, you should have 4 stitches. And this is going to count as one of our double crochets. So now we're going to do another double crochet into the next stitch. So this one right here, double crochet. And now we're going to start working on the pattern that forms these little petals, or leaves, I guess. So from this one, we're going to skip 2. So 1, 2, double crochet into the 3rd stitch, chain 2, and make another double crochet into the same stitch. And that is what helps us form this little V shape for the leaves. So we're going to continue that all the way around until we get back to our first chains. So again, we're going to skip 2, double crochet into the 3rd stitch, chain 2, make another double crochet into that same stitch. So the pattern is skip 2, double crochet, chain 2, double crochet, skip 2, double crochet, chain 2, double crochet. So let's do it again. Skip 2, double crochet into the 3rd stitch, chain 2, double crochet. So we're just going to keep doing that pattern. And make sure that you're not chaining between your skips. We just go straight into the stitch. We don't chain anything. The only time we chain is when we are working our 2 double crochets in the same stitch. So it should start looking like this. And every time you do a row that is your leaf color, you're going to start it the same way. So chain 4 and then do 1 double crochet and then start your pattern. So that's how it would be for all the green rows that we do. So I'm going to keep doing this, and I'll meet you guys back when we're at the last stitch of our green row and we're ready to start working on our petals. So now we're at the end of our green row, and we're going to skip these last 2 stitches and do a slip stitch into the top row. But just like we did with the last white row, we're going to cut our green yarn and then grab the color you want to use for the petals, and we're going to use a slip stitch using this yarn. And then once again, I really like using the method of grabbing the tails, wrapping them around the top of our working yarn, and then chaining 1 to secure it. So now we're going to chain 2. So we have 3 chains in total for the start of our petals. So in order to make our petals, we need to work into the stitches that look like V's, so these ones. We're not working into the spaces in between them, we're leaving them blank, and that's what makes this design. Okay, so we're going to start our first cluster. So we're going to yarn over, and to make a cluster, we're going to be making, I call them like incomplete double crochets. So I'll show you what that means. So yarn over, insert your hook, pull through, yarn over, and we're only going to pull through 2 of the loops. Then we're going to do the same thing, yarn over, insert your hook, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2. So now you have a total of 3 loops on your hook. We're going to do that again, yarn over, pull up, pull through 2. So now we have 4, and I like to do it one more time, so yarn over, through. And honestly, you could do it as many times as you want to get your puff shape. I just think doing this 4 times has been a good size. Then we're going to yarn over and pull through all of them. And as you can see, we have our first cluster. So now we're going to chain 2 and find our next V space, or our next chain 2 space. We're going to do that again. So insert your hook, pull through, do half of a double crochet, yarn over, pull through, do another half of a double crochet, yarn over, pull through, another half, and one more time, yarn over, pull through, and then pull through this, pull through all of them. So as you can see, we're starting to form our petals. So we're going to keep doing that. Chain 2, yarn over, insert your hook, do half a double crochet, another half, and one more. So we have 5 loops on our chain, or our hook, sorry. Then we're going to pull through all 5. Chain 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and one more time, yarn over, pull through 2, then yarn over, pull through 5, chain 2. So this is this pattern that you're going to be using for all of your petal rows. So we're going to keep doing this pattern all the way around. And then after this petal row, it's just a repeat of the previous 2 rows. So after this, we would do another cream row. I like doing 2 cream rows just so it breaks up the color. I don't want like the green really close to the pink. So you could do 1 or 2 rows, it really doesn't matter, but I'll show you how to do that. And then you'll do your green, and then you'll do a pink, and then repeat. And for this one, I did 3 rows of flowers, and then I just did 1 row at the top. So we're going to continue that pattern for the petals, and then I'll meet you guys when we're back at the first chains that we made. Okay, so now we are at our last V-stitch, so we're going to do 1 last petal. Oh, this yarn is getting stuck. Okay. So now that we've done our last petal, we're going to start on the next white row. So just like we did with our previous rows, insert your hook into the top chain, but do not pull through that color. We're going to cut the yarn. Now we're going to grab our base color. For me, it's cream. If I can find the end of it. Okay. We're going to pull through. My yarn's a little bit thicker, so it's kind of hard to maneuver. Okay, there. Then we're going to pull our tails, wrap them on top of the working yarn, and we're going to chain 2. So 1, 2. Now we're going to start working on the base again. So we're going to do 1 double crochet on top of this first tulip. And into every chain 2 space, so these gaps, we're going to do 2 double crochets together. And then on top of every petal, we're going to do 1 double crochet. So the pattern is 2 double crochet into the gap spaces, 1 double crochet into the petal, 2 double crochet, 1 double crochet. So this is how it's going to look like. We're going to continue that all the way around. And like I said earlier, I like to do 2 rows of white, but you could do 1, you could do more than 2. It's really up to you and your preference on how you want your pouch to look. But just for future reference, if you do plan on doing more than 1 row of white, the rows after this would all just be 1 double crochet into each chain. So you wouldn't have to do multiple in each like this one. It's just straight 1 double crochet into every stitch. So I'll show you how to do that too, because I'm going to be adding 2 rows just like I did with the bag up there. So we're going to keep doing this. 2 into the gaps, 1 into the petal, okay, again 2, 1. So continue doing this all the way around until you get back to the chain 2 space, and then I'll show you how to do extra rows on top of this if you want more between your flowers, and if you don't, then I'll just show you how to start your next flower row. Okie dokie, so now we are at the last stitch before our chain 2. We're going to slip stitch into our chain 2 space, and then we're going to chain 2, and into the next stitch do a double crochet. And this row only applies if you want to have 2 in between your flower rows. If you only want 1, then you can go ahead and repeat what we did for the green. But because I do want to have more space between my flowers, I'm going to have 2 rows. So, like I said earlier, this row is very simple. Just 1 double crochet into each stitch. And we're going to keep doing double crochets until we get back to our chain 2 space. And you could do as many of the base color as you want, as many rows as you want. I'm just going to do this one and then the one I'm working on, so 2. And I feel like that gives it a nice balance between the flowers. So after we do this row, we're going to start with our green again. So if you don't remember how to do the green, you could go back to the section of the video that works on the green part. And just remember that whenever we are changing colors for our rows, we do a partial slip stitch, I suppose it's called, where you just insert your hook into the chain from the row, and then you pull through using the color you want. So just remember that we don't finish the row by slip stitching in the color of the yarn that we're working on. We use the color of the yarn for the next row. So for example, for this row, since I'm using cream, I wouldn't slip stitch with the cream, I'd slip stitch with green, since that's the next color that I'm going to use. I don't know if that's a bit confusing, but as long as you just follow what we did in the previous rows, then you should be fine. So we're just going to keep doing this all the way around. I'm almost at the end of my row. And then once we get there, like I said, we'll start working on the green. Okay, so now that I have finished my rows for the size of the pouch I want, I'm going to show you guys how to make it fold over so you could close it. If you want to just keep it open, you can. That's what I did for the book cover. I wanted my pouch to be a little bit smaller than the cover, so I only did 2 rows of flowers. I ran out of purple, so I had to use pink, but I think it looks cute. If you want to make it the size that I did for the book pouch, I did 3 rows of flowers and then an additional 1 row of this at the top. So to make it into a pouch, you're only going to be working on one side. So I chose this side, and we're just going to be doing double crochets across. So we're going to chain 2 and then just start making our double crochets. And then to close it, I don't have the other pouch. I actually gifted it to somebody, but for that one I used a button just sewed it on, and then I also sewed lining on so stuff doesn't fall through since there are gaps in here. So for the lining I literally just hand sewed it in. I won't be showing that in today's video just because this is mainly a crochet tutorial for the book sleeve, you know. But if you want to know how to sew the lining of the pouch, it's pretty simple. You just cut the size of the lining, like your fabric that you want, and then you just sew it, make sure it's inside out, and just sew it in. There's lots of tutorials out there for that, but yeah, it's pretty simple. So we're just going to continue making double crochets. And I'd love to know what colors you guys chose to make your flowers. I've seen people make like cardigans with this. I know there's a pattern out there for that. I've seen people make it with like each row is a different color, which is kind of what I did here, but honestly I only did that because I ran out of the purple. I underestimated how much yarn I would need, but I am curious to know if you do use this tutorial, what colors or color did you guys use? Just comment down below. I'd love to see what you guys, or know what you guys made with the tutorial. So now that I'll show you on the other side. Now that we are at the end, I guess I could do one more. We are going to, we need enough for it to fold over and to button. So we're going to do another row, chain 2, turn your work, and just do that again, just double crochets. So I just finished that row that I was working on when I showed you guys last. And this is only the second row of double crochets, but honestly, I do think that it is enough to close it. So I might just leave it like this. So, because I don't want it to cover up the flowers. So I do think that this is a good row. So if you want to make it a fold over pouch, I would say 2 rows is enough. But honestly, you could make it as little or as much as you want. Oops. So then, I don't have any buttons on me now, but I would just sew buttons on either side so that it closes, and then that would be your pouch. So, like I said, I would love to know what colors you guys use. I'd like to know if you guys thought this tutorial was helpful, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I'm trying to grow my channel and hopefully start selling some of my work. So yeah, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.